Are you ready right now? Because I'll do it right now.
Yep. Ready as I'm gonna get.
Okay. And 3, 2, 1, go.
And we're off. So, Metroid 2 100%. Certainly, the black sheep of the Metroid games. As instead of going through and fighting bosses, you fight Metroids. Metroids, and nothing but Metroids. So, first thing you should know about a speedrun, there is 3 ways you can move about the game. 1, the ever-popular roll. You can run, and you can jump. Each has a varying degree of speed. Also, side note, that shaft and that descent went perfectly. Rolling moves you at 2 pixels per frame, running 1.5, and moving horizontally through the air is exactly 1 pixel per frame. So, for the first like 20 minutes or so, rolling is the best option. There are places where rolling is not beneficial. The general rule of thumb when it comes to rolling it's about 8 blocks, so if I'm not rolling 8 blocks, best to assume I'm not rolling. Whoa. First Metroid was a total dick. That doesn't bode well. That actually puts me at quite a disadvantage. And if I get hit again, that would put me in pretty much the red zone. Normally you would take damage from most of those enemies, if not all of them. However, taking 2 hits from the Metroid at 10 damage apiece makes it so later it is not a viable option, or you'll regret it. And I'll explain why coming up, but so something we do is called, or something I will attempt to be doing is called a corner fast fall. You will never hear that term used by any Metroid 2 speedrunner except me. It is not a term that's widely used. This is why I needed as much health as I could get, and why I didn't take the damage boosts earlier. Is I take a lot of damage in the next couple of rooms. Those guys are pretty good about dropping health, so it's not too terribly big an issue most times, but something like that can happen, and I cannot morph. Sweet. And you can lose quite a bit of health, and possibly die. Should be the last little damage boost I have for a bit. Or anything that could possibly kill me. So, this portion of the game, I and a couple of the other Metroid 2 runners, who, assuming they ever run this again, call this little bit of the game beep %, where you pretty much get annoyed by the beep for about 2 minutes. 3 minutes at most. So, bombs. Here's the irony about bombs. They can't be used for anything that helps us as far as speedrunning goes. They blow stuff up, and that's about it. There's one time I will use a bomb as a boost, but that really isn't all that common. I use them but only in the way the game would intend. You have to be careful when jumping around the Chozo boxes. Reason being, you can actually get stuck in their hitbox. And I'm sure anybody who has played Metroid 2 might know that pain. If not that Chozo hitbox, one coming up in the next couple of minutes. So... oh, fuck me running. Shit. I need this block to come back. I just wasted a shit ton of time because I missed a damage boost. That's not good at all. Oh. It is what it is. So, Samus is a masochist in this game, because... and she likes to take a lot of damage. And it's not just a common trend amongst the beginning of the game. Nope. Samus enjoys damage. And the best part about it is it rewards you by allowing you to jump more. So if you jump, take damage, and jump, you can jump again. So Metroid 2 did well in introducing quite a few new items. Some of which you'll get to see, some of which are, like, non-existent. Spider Ball is one of those items introduced, and then was used in the Prime games. However, unlike the Prime games, you can Spider Ball anywhere, on any wall, in this game. And without fear of breaking. Developers could fear not breaking the game. Though, they kinda did so. Because the Spider Ball has a bit of an exploit to it. And when paired with... actually, hold that thought. So, with Metroid 2, missiles and items were placed in pretty obvious locations. Some of which you may have to come back and get later, but they're pretty obvious, and it's hard to get lost in Metroid 2. I mean, you can, but if you explore a room, you're pretty much bound to find a way around. So for this room, we kill the first two, and then we lag the room. Because this is a Game Boy game, it can only handle so many sprites at any given time. So we use that to our advantage and slow the enemies down so that we can jump over and shoot them. Nothing fancy, just you manipulating the Game Boy hardware, the Game Boy's hardware, to be a great asset. I guess manipulating might be a rather bad term to use. So, a big goal of this game is to just keep moving. No matter what you do, you always want to be moving in a direction that you're supposed to be going. Unless, of course, the douchebag Metroids... Oh, I apologize. I was trying not to swear in this, but... I will try to keep my language PG. Unless the, troll Metroid decides to come about. Then you kinda have to stop. But for the most part, keep moving. Moving is... Despite Metroids being the main center of focus for this game, the speedrun of this is probably about 90% movement and only 10% Metroids. Which may seem no duh. So the general strat for Alpha Metroids is to get them above your head and lead them to the nearest doorway. There are some exceptions to that rule, but for the most part, that's all. There's not much to really say about them. You just, like... So, they are the uninteresting batch of Metroids. So, refills, despite this being 100%, and you would think that refills would be completely irrelevant, you are completely wrong. Some refills are able to be skipped, but for the most part, refills are important. There is 5 refills that I collect, and a couple more that aren't too far out of the way. It may seem like I am wasting missiles, but one thing that I should note about Metroid II, 100% at least, is missile management is the lowest of your priorities, or the lowest of priorities. And I'm not morphing again. There are times when, like, okay, and I should rephrase that. Management of your items and health is important to a degree, but not to the degree that you would see in another category or even another game. It's not like managing power bombs in Super Metroid, or something like that. But for the but if you just miss a few, you're like, it's never going to kill a run. So I should probably explain why I do 100%, not any percent. Any percent is by far the more interesting category. However, one thing I should note about any percent is that it is ridiculously difficult. Anybody who would like to get into this, 100% is the de facto category. And any percent you actually run out of missiles a couple of times, or have the possibility of running out of missiles. Alright, so Arachnus. Anyone who speedruns Metroid Fusion will know how big of a troll this guy can be. In Metroid II, Arachnus has no RNG to him whatsoever. Killing him in 2 cycles. God damn it. That was bad. So, the thing I mentioned, the exploit was Spider Ball. It's called spider throwing. And spider throwing, I will give you a better example, but it pretty much is used for clearing large chasms, because spider throwing allows you to move as fast as you roll through the air, which eliminates quite a bit as far as time constraints go. That was a pretty bad Metroid fight, actually. God damn it. Whoops. Oh well. Alright. High jump boots. Oh, how I adore high jump boots. Oh, did I say adore? Metroid 2's jump mechanic is kind of wonky. And by kind of wonky, yeah, I mean extremely wonky. And high jump makes it all that much worse. So in Metroid 2, there is pretty much two jump heights. Extremely low and not helpful, or extremely high. There is a boundary that Samus has that if you cross, you're committed to the jump and have to finish it. And high jump raises that bar. And makes it 10 times worse if you cross that bar. There are times when you need to, but if you didn't intend to, oh boy. It is a game of waiting for Samus to come back down to Earth. Or SR388. Another interesting mechanic that exists is unmorph jumping. In addition to damage jumping, if you unmorph and then hit the jump button, Samus can jump. And this is quite useful for especially when coupled with high jump. Because not only can you jump up, but then you get the full effect of high jump. So, allows us to reach a lot higher areas than the game probably would have liked. So, right now we're off to the Varia suit. Or more specifically, a missile tank, a Metroid, another missile tank, and then finally the Varia suit. Ugh, shit, that wasn't supposed to... Shoot, that wasn't supposed to happen. I said I would watch my language. My apologies to all. Yes, the goal for that fight is literally to get him stuck in the ceiling, and then spider throw through this. Which is hit or miss. Fun fact of the day, that's not the only Metroid that you can get stuck in the ceiling. Or the only thing you can get stuck in the ceiling. But it's the only time it's really useful to actually attempt to get it into the ceiling. Alright. So, here we have the Varia suit. The epitome of the Metroid series. Though, one thing that is interesting about the Varia suit in this game is it doesn't protect against acid or lava. What it does, however, do is it makes you run as fast as you roll, so instead of running at 1.5 pixels per second, or pixels per frame, you run at 2 pixels per frame. Though, I will make a note that there are still some areas that are better to roll. And in other games, Metroid, the Varia suit halves your damage. In this game, it doesn't have it exactly. It gives you a damage reduction, but it doesn't exactly have your damage. For example, Alpha Metroids do 10 damage, with the Various suit they do 8 damage. So, here we have our first Gamma Metroid. And Gamma Metroids are by far the most interesting Metroids to fight. The strats we use for them are so varied from Metroid to Metroid. I was actually kind of nervous I was going to fall off the edge there, as compared to Alphas, Zetas, or Omegas. There is really no set strat for Gammas. Dear Samus, I need you to, like, I don't know, trigger the fight. Alright. Here's the second Gamma, whose, as you will note, should note, the strat is like 10 times different. That didn't exactly work out how I had hoped, like, at all, but you know. There is one of those times where high jump and unmorph jumping really comes in handy. See another chain of damage boosts, because I'm sure you're not sick of seeing those already. So, how many people probably neglected this missile tank that's up here? Can't say I blame you unless you're bomb happy, but yeah. This missile tank is just kind of hidden away. Probably the developers decided that it was like, oh, let's just stick these missile tanks here. And then maybe people won't find them, and then we can reveal them to the public later, and make everybody feel stupid for not finding them. Well, that missile tank has a twin. In Phase 5. Or in other words, on the other side of the game. So, I should explain how phases work, since that's kind of a key portion of the game. The game is split up into phases. Depending on who you ask, you will get varying answers. For me personally, there are 7 phases. According to Nintendo Power, you'll find 9. Or 10, I believe. I believe it's 9. Anyways. And in each phase, there's a certain number of Metroids that you are required to kill before you can move on with the game. However, and so you can't move on until you kill that number of Metroids and move on to the next phase. However, I should note... Oh, that was a sloppy excuse of a descent. Whoopsies. But, yeah, it never says the number of... what Metroids you have to kill. So, if you so chose, you could kill the Metroids in any order. Unless... And you'll see in about 12 or 13 minutes exactly that. Wow, that was fucking sloppy. Alright, so now we're in phase 3. Or I like to call it Gamma Heaven or Gamma Hell, depending on who you are. If you're good at Gammas, this is a really easy phase. Oh my god! No, that was super bad. Yeah. Right. Let's pretend that never happened, shall we? Alright. Here we're coming up on another item that was introduced in this game. And it has actually become an icon since. It is the space jump. Which, in a casual playthrough, might obsolete Spider Ball, both Spider Ball and Spring Ball. However, I would argue that it is almost completely useless in a speedrun. It's used, and you can see it used, but the goal isn't to But all in all, the goal is not to use Spider Ball, not Space Jump. And there is a reason for that. It's slow. It doesn't have the same speed that Super Metroid has. Now there is a reason we skipped that Metroid. It actually sets him up for a quick kill. On the way out. Since if you leave a room with a Metroid in it while fighting them, it will reset them to their original position. So this is one of the entirely random rooms. Movement's erratic, and when they drop their lava is erratic. So, another E-Tank. Yay! Health. This is one of those times where it's better to roll because, as you see, we have to go up a wall. So, and I find morphing from as you approach the ground is a lot easier than. It's a lot smoother, faster, easier, whatever you want to call it, as you approach the ground, because then it's just a fluid two strokes of the down arrow, and you're solid. Here is what I meant about... And that Gamma decides to be a troll. Seems like all of the things that could have gone wrong are. Ah well. At least it'll provide some comedy. So, going down here first is not necessarily required, or faster. You can go this way first, but I have my reason for going down the middle one and fighting all the Gammas first is health purposes. Is after this Metroid, you get a health refill because you have to grab an E-Tank. As a result of grabbing that E-Tank, you can go into the second portion of Phase 3 with full health, or close to it, but 91 health. Sometimes you can go in with full health, but it's not common. But you will have about 90, 91 health. That is actually more precise than you might think. Because, for some reason, even though it's literally, the bomb itself is less than 2 pixels away from that rock, it will not blow up unless it is almost dead on the rock. The edge of the bomb, or the top of the bomb, could be pixels away from the rock, the bomb block itself. But, for some reason, it still won't blow up. So, you have to get that really precise. So I'll be going into the second portion of Phase 3 with full health, which is kind of a surprise, if I'm honest. But so I divide Phase 3 into 2 portions. Probably should have explained this earlier. But the first portion, where you get all the item portion and the Metroid portion. The Metroid portion is where we're going, because there is no items in this area, only Metroids. More damage boosts that I did horribly at. Never mind. Don't. Yeah. Not much more needs to be said. So, the game intends for you to kill that Metroid first and then Spider Ball up there. However, because damage jumping is a thing, you can just damage jump right up into that hole. And then go on, and then go. So one thing I was trying to do with that Metroid is do what's called an instant unmorph. You might recognize the term from Fusion or Prime, but what our goal is for instant unmorph is on the same frame you get damaged, you want to unmorph, and you'll go flying towards the ground. Or I guess flying is a bad word, not because it really isn't all that fast. But what it allows you to do in some cases is move immediately after getting damaged and cancels knockback. Or minimizes knockback. That's a better thing to say. Alright, time to see if this Metroid behaves, because Metroids, believe it or not, are some of the most random things in the game. So I have to wait for this guy to, like, get where I want him to, and then just shoot up and spam. And voila, the Metroid is dead. But the galaxy is not at peace yet. This is the final Metroid in Phase 3, and honestly my least favorite. get lucky, you can get him up into there and then herd him over to the door, or the exit. Okay, so here we have the biggest sequence break in the game. This game is like Fusion in the fact that it doesn't have many sequence breaks, if any. There is no... At least not in the category I run. There is a category called 100% Out of Bounds that is not run right now by many people, but exists. And it skips out a lot of the filler mistakes. And the area where you don't collect items, you don't collect or don't kill Metroids, you just kind of go to the next phase. And so that run still, albeit about as interesting as 100% is, honestly. Has what you might consider sequence breaks. But Acid Dive is the big sequence break. And harkening back to what I said earlier about Metroids and the phases, well, I did say you had to kill Metroids in a certain number of Metroids to move on to the next area. But it doesn't say what Metroids you have to kill, so as a result, we can skip straight through the acid, kill these Metroids first, and then get the Metroid we were supposed to get originally on the way back up, or on the way back through. Oh, that was bad. I shouldn't have done that. I meant to fire a missile and kill him. However, I didn't end up actually pulling that off. Honestly, I forgot to do it, so yeah. As much as it might seem like a good idea to spider throw through this room, actually attempting it and doing it is damn near impossible. I'm not gonna say it's totally impossible, because it's not. You can do it, and you can do it poorly, but there's really no good way to do it well. I looked into it for a bit, and then came to the conclusion that there was no good way, and bit the bullet and stopped spider throwing through that room. So, every time I hit the select button, or switch to missiles, I actually tense up a little bit. And there is a reason for that. There is an exploit in the game called the select glitch. I don't know exactly how it works, why it works. Next Gen tried explaining it to me once, and I didn't pick it up, so... But the effect of the select glitch is profound, to say the least. That was bad. Normally I can get a missile off into the first one, and then a beam shot off into the next. But that was not an option. With that, and took more damage than I ever wanted to. And again, we're rolling through the acid because, like I said earlier, Samus in this game is a total masochist. Again, another room you might think to spider throw through, but again, no. It's actually faster to roll under the acid. Alright, this Metroid right here, and the strat for this Metroid is a little bit inconsistent. Sometimes you'll get it, and other times You won't. That was actually ideal. Sometimes he'll get caught up on the ledge, and you have to go free him. Other times, you get hit by his the Gamma's lightning bolts, whatever. Static energy. Again, you roll back through the room, you come through, you come out, you roll. Rolling is rolling, and it's useful. Why? That should go without saying, but, you know. There's not much to say about rolling that I haven't already mentioned. Oh, that health would have been nice. Ah, well. So that was the end of Phase 4. Now we're into Phase 5. This room has some enemies that are only found in this room, such as those things. I don't actually know what they're called, so... But if you don't do that room correctly and fail the first spider throw, you are bound to get wrecked in that room. Like, there's nothing... Recovery in that is... hit or miss. So it's better to just do it right the first time. So that Metroid actually has the opportunity to be quite a troll and get on the other side of you and push you out of that room if you're not careful. Careful. So Bramble is weird. Bramble's hitbox is the leading cause of no damage. You can get damaged in it. However, yeah, the likelihood of you doing so is pretty slim. And you probably will never die in the Bramble itself. Alright, Zeta Metroids. You don't need to mash terribly fast, but you do need to mash to get enough missiles into him. That was what a Zeta Metroid should look like. It's one of those spray and pray situations, where you have to pray that it doesn't fire a fireball, because if it does, it will break its stun lock, and you have to either reset the Metroid or finagle it. Here we have Ice Beam, returning from the original Metroid, along with Wave Beam. One thing that... and two other... There are 4 beams in this game. We only collect one of them. Because, like in A Link to the Past... In A Link to the Past, 100%, they only have to collect items that are permanent and don't get overridden by anything. So, example being, you don't collect the blue tunic, but you collect the red tunic, because the red tunic takes precedence over the blue tunic. Same thing with the beams. You can only hold one beam, so collecting the other beams doesn't do much. Which is why all 4 beams are in the area which I got Ice Beam. It's awesome. We used to collect beams, but then, you know, it was decided that was stupid, and no beams are collected. Only Ice Beam is collected. But the beams that were introduced in this game are the Spazer Beam and the Plasma Beam. Plasma Beam is arguably the beam you want casually, but most things that can't be killed with the Power Beam are killed with missiles in a speedrun, so it's one of those numbers. Remember how I said the missile in Phase 2 had a twin? Yeah. It actually has a deformed triplet called an E-Tank. Whoopsies, I accidentally fired missiles. That was not good. Alright. Coming up we have the Sand Gamma. The Sand Gamma has, like the first Gamma in Phase 5, has no strat whatsoever. No matter how much you beg and how much you plead, there is yet to be a viable, keyword here is viable, strat that would be for 100%. There is a strat for any percent that is designed to conserve missiles. But it's not useful for 100%. It's actually slower than what we do currently. Okay, so I can take a stab and say many of you stumbled across Darkroom when you were playing this casually, if you've played this at all. And got lost and confused and probably gave up. Whoa, shit. Okay, good recovery. Voila, there. The room is done. I should make it known that there are 6 E-Tanks. You can only carry 5 of them. But, again, 100%. So, it's relevant. Though I do think the 6th E-Tank was added on purpose, and it wasn't something that was like, oh. Because the original Metroid had 8 E-Tanks, and you could only carry 6. So I think it's the same situation. In the event you found 1 E-Tank, but didn't find another, there's another E-Tank for you. There's a 6th E-Tank to make up for the one you missed. Or if you're like me, you didn't know the 6th E-Tank existed until I started speedrunning. So okay. Pray for the no fireball. Sweet. Zetas are the ones that you want to not fuck up. At least in the Zeta coming up. Because so in this game there is 250 missiles. There was 240 and 250. You will never see the counter reach 250. Unless, of course, you grab the refill at the very end of the game. Because from here on out, there is no refills. Until the end. In Phase 6, there is absolutely no refills. Whew. Okay, that was actually really tense because I didn't shoot out the second block, or the second bit of sand, before triggering the Metroid fight. Which doesn't necessarily bode well. If I fail it, because the backup strat, I have no clue how to do it. I get the gist of it, but I will admit that I don't know how to do it. So, and regardless of getting the backup or not, you would still waste about anywhere from a minute to 2 minutes, depending upon where you were at in the fight. If you were at the very end, you probably will lose about 30 seconds. But if you're at the beginning of the fight, like shoot 5 missiles into it, you still have 15 missiles to go. And as a result, you're gonna lose a lot of time. It sucks, and I hate losing time there. But luckily enough, didn't have to deal with it. And that's the last Zeta Metroid you will ever see in the game. But that is not the last mistake you will see in this game. I'm bound to make many more as the Omegas come up. So, coming up is my favorite bit of the game. Not necessarily because it's any different than the rest of the game, but it has my favorite Metroid in it. And how can I pick a favorite Metroid out of Metroids that look the same? Well, because this. Your eyes do not deceive you. That is not going to mysteriously turn into a Zeta Metroid or an Omega. That is an Alpha. A 5-missile Alpha. That you take above your head and kill. Side note, I like calling that Metroid the Sacrificial Alpha, and have dubbed it so, because it is the strongest of all of the Alpha Metroids to ever exist. It made it clear to the end of the game. And it is worthy of being sacrificed so that I may have good Omegas. So Omegas are an interesting breed. They take 14 missiles to kill, but that's not the interesting part about them. The way you have, in order to get 14, I don't know how many missiles I pumped into him. I would have been better off pumping missiles into the front of him. Anyways. Problem with getting 14 missiles on Omegas is you have to do it from behind. And in order to get that perfect Omega Metroid, where it doesn't turn around and you have to reset it, is by having a perfect rhythm with the Metroid. There is a 2-frame window that you have or 2-second window to 2-frame. Yeah, that would make the Metroids damn near impossible, but, or the Omegas perfect and damn near impossible, but not the point. 2 seconds to get up and fire a couple more missiles into him. You can't spam as fast as possible, because if you do, the missile will go through him. You have to do it in a sort of rhythm, because it... And if he turns around, you have to use screw attack to reset him. Which isn't a bad deal, unless the Metroid really wants to troll you and doesn't. And it takes multiple hits of the screw attack to get it back to a reasonable height and direction. Usually after the 3rd try, I say screw it, and I'm supposed to be going up. Wow. Okay, pathetically bad climb on that one. But after the 3rd time, I just say screw it and take it and fight it whichever direction it's facing, so long as I am in back of it. Because I believe Omegas take 50 missiles to kill. And that was... Had I not taken damage, that would have been fine. And that Omega would have gone a lot better, but for what it's worth, but I accidentally jumped into the Metroid, which screws off the rhythm you should have going for you, and you pretty much blow the 2-second window you have to keep it stunned or keep it locked. So Samus fights a grand total of 4 Omegas, 3 of which are generously bunched into one section. And if you're not good at Omegas, you will probably end up grinding for missiles, or farming for missiles, grinding for missiles. What is this? You'll farm for missiles because you'll run out, or won't have enough. Because at 50 missiles a pop, yeah, so that's why you can't spam. If you paid close enough attention, you will have seen the missile go through the Omega, which is never a good thing. Alright, here we have the final Omega. And and possibly the final Metroid before the Queen. And it decides to be a fucking asshole. I didn't mean to say fuck. Whoopsies. Pardon my language. But that Metroid, oh my god, that just, destroyed. I'm going to take a shot and say this run is out of 103 territory and is pretty deep into 104 territory, if I had to venture a guess. I'm not looking at the time or anything but the run, so I have no indication. Wow. Okay, that was bad. Right. About that. So, this portion of the run, the ending portion, is really, or quite, what's the word? You have to be quite precise with your movement. Because if you don't, you might have to start over the entire section. If you pay attention, you might notice a black background behind otherwise colored in space. Yeah, if you fall in, that's a pit, and if you fall in that pit, it's a one-way trip down to the very bottom. And climbing back out is... And that wastes quite a bit, actually. Especially if you do it right here. Whew. That was actually quite close. Alright, 154 missiles, 3 full E-tanks with 83 health. That's about where I want to be. You don't need this much health or this many missiles to beat the Queen. However, there's always a catch. You need 150 missiles to beat the Queen just by missiles alone, because missiles do 1 damage and whatnot. More to come later. Anyways. What the hell is this? 9 more Metroids. The game mentions this nowhere. That you have to fight larval Metroids. And if you have played the NES Metroid and gotten to Turian, getting them on you is a pain. Sucks horribly. Because these first 2 Metroid games, and arguably Super Metroid, were horrible about getting Metroids off of you. That was the wrong area to do that. So, yeah. The desire for 150 missiles, or about that area, is quite high. This is the Queen Metroid. If you have played other M, you might, and not this game, you will recognize the Queen. This is where the Queen Metroid originated. That's my kill. There. Alright, that was the Queen Metroid. Very anticlimactic. And the Metroid counter is finally at 0. Or is it? And the baby, the baby, the baby, the baby, the baby. We have heard this before, right? Oh no, the baby. Alright. I will make it known time is going to be coming up here in about 45 seconds. I'm almost scared to look at it, though. That was bad. Alright, time is coming up here in about... Let's see if I can get this. Now. Time. Oh. Oh god. I just turned onto the chat. That was, 104.06. Okay. That was good. Gotta say. I did overestimate my estimate by like 20 minutes, but... I've got like 15 minutes, like, the credits will roll. The credits shall roll. Yes, actually, yes, Herc. No, I can't hear you. Alright, Hubert.
Hey,
I
Flipside.
hear nobody.
Good run, dude. Oh,
Okay. Hey, bro.
well, dang, dude.
Hey,
Hey, Flipside. Good run, dude.
thank you so very much.
Oh. I can't hear him talk, dang, dude.
Oh, there he is.
1
I was
second.
hoping for sub 104, but
Oh, okay. Can they
that's
hear
still
us
within
on
a
stream?
second of Kenta's time,
I can't hear him talk. Oh, damn.
Yeah.
1
He's
second.
only on a stream.
Oh, okay. Can they hear us on stream?
Maybe.
Oh, dang. So we should get Electra in here for the race, just for funsies.
So, well, not. I mean, if you guys want, okay, yeah. So now, nice 101.
Alright, well,
Nice 101.
there we go. Alright, well,
Yeah, we won't disturb him.
I think that is it for me. Thank you for watching. Shoutouts to Steel and Bread and the SRX crew for having me run this. I will see you later. Go ahead and follow me because shameless promotion.
And that marks the end of Metroid 2. So now, okay. I'm going to be continuing hosting for the next little bit. Hold on, let me get in the lobby. Hi, Brad. Okay, so now, Vesper. Okay, so now we are going to be doing Project Base Deja Vu. This
Oh boy,
is the memeest,
are
one
you
of the memeest categories.
on stream right now?
Yes, we are indeed on stream. I'm just.
Oh dang, dude, let's go and hear that.
Okay, so let me just get SNES 9X opened up.
Heck yeah, dude. Do you want me to like give commentary for this?
You can if you want. This is Hyper Metroid, not Project Base. This is Super Metroid. That's Super Metroid. This is as well. Is
Let
yeah,
me
there
open
we go.
the stream.
Okay, so
Oh, you're just streaming direct.
yeah, I just streamed.